Ambassador Kethavar walked through the marble halls of the Galactic Council building. His purple robes dragged behind him as he moved toward the main chamber. Today was another emergency meeting, and he already knew what everyone would talk about. The humans had missed another gathering. The massive doors opened with a soft hiss. Inside, representatives from 47 different species sat in their assigned seats. Each delegation had their own section, designed to accommodate their unique biology. The Vorthak delegation floated in their water tanks. The crystalline shale tea hummed softly in their mineral beds. The insect-like Zephyrians clicked their mandibles in quiet conversation. But one section remained empty. The human section had been vacant for 2 whole years now. Kethavar took his place at the speaker's podium. The chamber fell silent. Even the Shaelity stopped their musical humming. Fellow council members, he began, his voice carrying across the vast chamber. We gather once again to address the continued absence of the human delegation from Earth. A ripple of whispers spread through the assembled aliens. Some sounded annoyed. Others seemed relieved. 3 standard galactic cycles have passed, Kethavar continued. Earth has not responded to any of our communications. They have ignored 17 formal invitations. Their ambassadors have not been seen in any galactic territory. From the Vorthak section, Ambassador Glubnock's translator device crackled to life. Perhaps they have finally realized their place, the aquatic being said through the machine. Humans were always too aggressive, too unpredictable. Maybe they decided to stay in their own little corner of space where they belong. Several delegates made sounds of agreement. The humans had never been popular in the council. They asked too many questions. They disagreed with established policies. Worst of all, they had shown up the established powers during the recent border conflicts with the Krellan Empire. Kethavar remembered those conflicts well. The Krellans had been raiding Outer Rim colonies for months. The Council's response had been slow and bureaucratic. Committee meetings, impact studies, diplomatic protests. Meanwhile, human patrol ships had started showing up at attacked colonies within hours of distress calls. The humans never asked permission. They just acted. Their small, fast ships would arrive, fight off the raiders, and disappear again. It had been embarrassing for the larger galactic powers who took weeks to mobilize their fleets. The humans may be primitive, said Chancellor Vexhai from the Altarian delegation, but they have shown military capabilities that concern some of our members. Their silence could indicate they are planning something. More whispers filled the chamber. The humans had indeed surprised everyone with their military effectiveness. Their ships were smaller than most galactic vessels, but they moved faster and hit harder than anyone expected. Human tactics were unpredictable, creative, and often successful against superior numbers. What do we actually know about their current status? Asked Dr. Yilthra from the Scientific Council. Her tentacles waved thoughtfully as she spoke. Have any of our sensor networks detected activity in the Sol system? Kethavar checked his datapad. Long-range monitoring stations show normal electromagnetic signatures from Earth. No signs of major conflict or disaster. They simply appear to be ignoring us. Unacceptable, declared High Chancellor Mirix from her elevated platform. The ancient being had led the council for over 300 years. Her word carried enormous weight. No member species may withdraw from galactic civilization without proper procedures. There are protocols, treaties, obligations. She paused, looking around the chamber with her multiple eyes. The humans signed the Galactic Cooperation Accord. They agreed to participate in council sessions. They cannot simply decide to ignore their responsibilities. What do you propose we do? Asked the Zephyrian representative, his wings buzzing with agitation. We investigate, Mirix said firmly. A reconnaissance mission to the Sol system. We need to determine Earth's status and intentions. If they are in distress, we offer aid. If they are simply being rebellious, we remind them of their obligations. The vote was swift and unanimous. Every delegation supported the reconnaissance mission. Even species that had previously supported human independence agreed that the silence had gone on too long. Kethavar watched the voting display with mixed feelings. He had dealt with human ambassadors before. They were stubborn and often difficult, but they were also honest and direct. Unlike many species in the council, humans said what they meant. If they were staying silent, they had a reason. I volunteer my own fleet for this mission, announced Captain Yolandra of the Zenthari Navy. The tall, blue-skinned warrior stood proudly in her section. "My ships are fast and well-equipped for reconnaissance work." "Approved," said High Chancellor Mirix. "Take 6 ships. Investigate the Sol system thoroughly but maintain a respectful distance. We are not invading human space, merely conducting a welfare check on a council member." After the meeting ended, Kethvar remained in the chamber as other delegates filed out. He stared at the empty human section, remembering the last time he had seen Ambassador Sarah Martinez there. She had been arguing about trade regulations as usual. The humans always wanted to change things to make them more fair, as they put it. The last words she had spoken to the council echoed in his memory. You can't build a lasting peace by ignoring the problems that cause wars in the first place. The council had dismissed her concerns, as they often did with human suggestions. Now the humans were gone, and no one knew why. Captain Yelandra approached him as the chamber emptied. "Ambassador, what do you really think happened to them?" Kethvar considered his answer carefully. "I think," he said slowly, "that we may have made a mistake." "What kind of mistake?" "The kind where you ignore someone until they decide to ignore you back." He gathered his robes and headed toward the exit. The humans were never good at being dismissed. In my experience, quiet humans are often the most dangerous ones. As he walked back through the marble halls, Kethvar couldn't shake a growing sense of unease. The humans had gone silent for a reason. They were planning something, he was sure of it. The question was what? Outside the council building, space traffic moved in its usual patterns. Merchant ships, diplomatic vessels, and patrol craft all following established routes and procedures. Everything looked normal and peaceful. But somewhere out there in a small yellow star system, Earth was silent. And silence, Kethvar was beginning to realize, could be more frightening than any threat. He made a mental note to review all available intelligence on human industrial capacity and military development. If his suspicions were correct, the Council was about to learn why humans had earned their reputation for surprise attacks during the Krellin conflicts. The reconnaissance mission would leave in 3 days. Kethvar hoped they would find nothing more than a minor communication breakdown or internal political dispute. But deep in his heart, he suspected they were about to discover something that would change everything. The age of dismissing humanity as a minor galactic power was about to end. The only question was how dramatically it would end, and what the humans had been building while the galaxy wasn't watching. Captain Yelandra stood on the bridge of her flagship, the Stellar Wind. The 6 ships of her reconnaissance fleet moved through hyperspace toward the Sol system. She had made this journey many times before, but never under such strange circumstances. "Captain," called out her sensor officer, Lieutenant Colmack, "we're approaching the hyperspace exit point. 30 seconds to normal space." Yelandra nodded. She had commanded naval vessels for over 50 years. She had fought pirates, explored unknown systems, and conducted first contact missions with primitive species. But something about this mission felt different. The silence from Earth was unnatural for such an active species. "All ships, this is Stellar Wind," she announced over the fleet communication system. "Prepare for exit. Maintain formation and begin passive scans immediately. Remember, we are here to observe, not to provoke." The familiar sensation of dropping out of hyperspace washed over the bridge crew. Stars shifted from streaks of light back to normal points. Before them lay the Sol system, looking exactly as it had in their navigation charts. "Initial scans show normal stellar activity," reported Colmack. "The star appears stable. I'm detecting the expected number of planets in their proper orbits." "What about Earth itself?" Yelandra asked. "Long-range scans show a normal electromagnetic signature. Cities are still illuminated. I can detect agricultural areas and industrial zones. Population centers appear active." Yelandra frowned. "But no response to our arrival?" "None, Captain. Our transponder signals should have triggered automatic responses from their traffic control systems. Instead, we're getting nothing." Dr. Thane, the fleet's xenobiologist, looked up from his specialized scanning equipment. His insect-like features showed confusion. "Captain, I'm detecting something strange. Earth's electromagnetic signature has changed significantly since our last official survey." "Changed how?" "Industrial activity appears to have increased by approximately 300%. Energy consumption is far beyond what their previous infrastructure should support. And there are new electromagnetic patterns I don't recognize." Yelandra moved to stand behind Dr. Thane's station. "Show me." The doctor activated a holographic display showing Earth from their current position. The planet appeared normal, but overlaying energy signatures told a different story. Massive power sources dotted the surface. Industrial complexes that hadn't existed during the last council survey now sprawled across continents. How is this possible? Yolandra asked. Our intelligence reports showed human industry was primitive compared to most council species. Apparently not anymore, Dr. Thane replied. These readings suggest manufacturing capability rivaling the Zenthari industrial worlds. Lieutenant Colmack, begin a systematic scan of the outer system, Yolandra ordered. I want to know about every asteroid, every moon, every piece of space debris larger than a combat drone. As the hours passed, the reconnaissance fleet moved deeper into the Sol system. What they discovered with each scan made less sense than the previous readings. Captain, Colmack called out, his voice tense, I'm detecting massive construction activity throughout the asteroid belt. What kind of construction? Unknown. The structures are too large to be mining operations. Too complex to be simple habitats. I'm reading power signatures that suggest major industrial facilities. Yolandra studied the display. Scattered throughout the asteroid belt were dozens of large installations. Each one showed signs of heavy construction and enormous power consumption. Dr. Thane, what do you make of these installations? The xenobiologist manipulated his controls, trying to get clearer readings. Captain, I've never seen anything like this. The power output from some of these facilities exceeds our own shipyards. And look at this. He highlighted Jupiter's moon system. Io, Europa, Ganymede, and Callisto all show signs of major construction projects. Whatever the humans have been building, they've been doing it throughout their entire system. How long would projects of this scale take? Yolandra asked, using known human technology. Decades, maybe centuries. But these appear to have been built in the 2 years since they stopped communicating with the Council. Yolandra felt a chill run through her body. That's impossible with their known capabilities. Exactly, Dr. Thane said grimly. Which means either our intelligence about human technology was completely wrong, or they've made advances that we don't understand. Captain, interrupted the communication officer, I'm detecting scattered debris fields throughout the system. Debris from what? Unknown. The metal compositions are unlike any known human alloys. Some pieces show signs of high-energy impacts. Others appear to have been deliberately discarded. Yolandra ordered probe launches toward several of the larger debris fields. The probes would take hours to reach their targets and return data, but she needed to understand what had happened in the Sol system. Ma'am, Colmack said quietly, I'm also detecting some very faint energy signatures that don't match any known human technology. Show me. The display highlighted dozens of tiny contacts throughout the outer system. They were barely visible on sensors like shadows at the edge of detection range. They appear to be moving in patrol patterns, Colmack observed, but I can't get clear readings on their size or configuration. Dr. Thane studied the contacts carefully. Captain, these energy signatures, they're not like anything in our databases. The power curves are completely alien to human technology as we know it. Could they be automated systems? Yolandra asked. Possibly, or, Dr. Thane paused, or human technology has advanced far beyond what we thought possible. Hours passed as the reconnaissance fleet gathered data. Each new scan revealed more mysteries. The humans had clearly been busy during their silence, but what they had been building defied explanation. Captain, the communication officer announced, the probes have returned data from the debris fields. The analysis appeared on the main display. Yolandra stared at the results in disbelief. These metal alloys, Dr. Thane whispered, they're beyond our current material science. Stronger than Zenthari battle steel, lighter than Altarian composites. How did humans develop this? More importantly, Yolandra said, what were they building with it? The probe data showed clear evidence of advanced manufacturing. Precise cuts, complex shapes, materials that shouldn't exist with current galactic technology. The humans hadn't just been building during their silence. They had been innovating at an impossible pace. Captain, I recommend we maintain our current distance, Dr. Thane advised. Until we understand what we're looking at, getting closer could be dangerous. Yolandra agreed. She had seen enough to know that something fundamental had changed in the Sol system. The quiet, primitive humans that the Council had dismissed were clearly no longer either quiet or primitive. Begin compilation of all data for immediate transmission to the Council, she ordered. Full sensor logs, probe results, everything. As her crew worked to prepare the report, Yelandra stared at the display showing Earth. The planet looked peaceful from their distance, but she now understood that appearances could be deceiving. Whatever the humans had been doing during their silence, it was going to change everything. The Council had sent her to check on a missing member species. Instead, she had discovered evidence of technological advancement that challenged everything they thought they knew about human capabilities. The reconnaissance fleet began its journey home, carrying data that would soon shake the foundations of galactic politics. Behind them, the Sol system continued its mysterious activities, watched by sensors they couldn't detect and protected by technology they couldn't understand. Earth's silence was about to become everyone else's problem. Admiral Sarah Chen floated in the zero-gravity command center of the UES Defiant. Her ship hung hidden within Saturn's rings, surrounded by ice and rock that provided perfect cover from conventional sensors. Around her, dozens of holographic displays showed real-time information from across the solar system. "Admiral," called out Commander Torres from the sensor station, "the Zenthari reconnaissance fleet has completed their survey and jumped to hyperspace." Chen nodded without taking her eyes off the main tactical display. 6 alien ships appeared as blue dots, now moving away from Earth at faster-than-light speeds. Time until they reach Council space? Approximately 18 hours at their current velocity. Good. That gives us time to prepare for the next phase. Chen activated her personal communication system. All department heads to the briefing room in 10 minutes. As she moved through the corridors of her ship, Chen reflected on how much had changed in 2 short years. The Defiant represented technology that would have been impossible when humanity had last attended a council meeting. Quantum processors, gravitational manipulation drives, energy shields that could stop any known weapon. The briefing room filled quickly. Dr. Marcus Webb, Director of Planetary Defense, took his usual seat near the head of the table. General Rodriguez, Commander of the Solar Defense Force, sat across from him. Dr. Sarah Kim, head of the Advanced Technology Division, reviewed data on her tablet. "Status report," Chen began without preamble. Dr. Webb activated a holographic display showing the solar system. "The alien reconnaissance mission went exactly as predicted. They detected our industrial expansion, but couldn't understand the scale or purpose. Their technology couldn't penetrate our stealth systems or analyze our new materials." "What about their sensor probes?" Chen asked. "We allowed them to recover debris from our early construction projects. Nothing that would reveal our actual capabilities, but enough to suggest major technological advancement." General Rodriguez leaned forward. "Admiral, our intelligence networks intercepted all their communications during the mission. They're definitely reporting back to the Council about impossible human technology." Chen smiled grimly. The plan was working perfectly. For 18 months, humanity had been aware of every Council ship that entered their space. The quantum detection networks that Dr. Kim's team had developed could see through any stealth technology currently used by galactic civilizations. "Dr. Kim, report on our technological status." The scientist looked up from her tablet. "All major projects are on schedule or ahead of it. The shipyards around Jupiter are producing vessels at a rate of 15 per week. The asteroid mining operations are extracting raw materials faster than we can process them. And the new manufacturing facilities are turning out components that surpass anything in the galactic databases. How many ships do we have operational?" 1,047 combat vessels of various classes. Another 300 support ships, all equipped with technology at least 50 years ahead of current galactic standards. Chen nodded. When humanity had decided to withdraw from galactic politics, they had committed completely to the decision. While the Council debated and argued about protocols and procedures, human scientists and engineers had been solving problems. The breakthrough had come from captured Krellin technology during the border conflicts. Human researchers had reverse-engineered alien systems, then improved them beyond their original capabilities. What had taken other species centuries to develop, humanity had mastered and surpassed in months. "General, what's the current threat assessment?" Rodriguez activated his own display. "Council intelligence has been trying to monitor our activities for over a year. Every stealth probe, every long-range sensor sweep, every accidental course deviation that brought ships near our system. We've cataloged their capabilities completely. And their military technology hasn't advanced significantly in decades. They've become complacent, relying on established designs and tactics. Meanwhile, our combat simulations suggest we could defeat the combined Council fleet with less than half our current force. The room fell silent as everyone absorbed that information. 2 years ago, humanity had been considered a minor galactic power. Now they possessed the strongest military in known space. What about their latest decisions? Shen asked. Dr. Webb pulled up intercepted Council communications. As predicted, they voted to impose economic sanctions on Earth. They're also preparing what they call a compliance fleet to enforce galactic law in our system. How large? Current intelligence suggests approximately 200 ships from multiple species, led by the Zenthari dreadnought Stellar Dominance. Chen studied the tactical data on the approaching fleet. The Stellar Dominance was indeed impressive by galactic standards. Nearly 2 kilometers long, heavily armored, carrying enough firepower to destroy a city. The Council clearly intended to make a statement. When do they arrive? 48 hours, Rodriguez answered. They'll drop out of hyperspace at the edge of our system and demand our surrender. Perfect. Chen stood and addressed the room. Ladies and gentlemen, we've spent 2 years preparing for this moment. The Council has dismissed humanity as irrelevant. They've treated our concerns as unimportant. They've ignored our warnings about the problems in their system. She paused, looking at each person in the room. Now they're coming to our home to force us to comply with their authority. It's time to show them what irrelevance really looks like. Dr. Kim raised her hand. Admiral, are we sure about this approach? Once we reveal our capabilities, there's no going back to the old relationship with the Council. Dr. Kim, there was never going to be an old relationship to go back to, Chen replied. The Council made it clear that they see humanity as a junior partner at best. They want our compliance, not our participation. She activated the main display, showing Earth surrounded by defensive installations and patrol fleets. We tried diplomacy. We tried working within their system. We followed their rules and respected their authority. In return, they ignored us when we warned them about problems, dismissed our suggestions for improvements, and treated us like children who didn't understand galactic politics. So what's our new approach? Asked General Rodriguez. Simple. We make it clear that humanity is no longer asking for a seat at the table. We're building our own table. Chen's expression hardened. The Council wants to treat the Sol system as their territory to regulate. We're going to show them that this system belongs to humanity, and we have the strength to defend it. Dr. Webb looked concerned. What about the diplomatic consequences? What diplomacy? Chen laughed. They stopped talking to us 2 years ago. They've made unilateral decisions about our status without consulting us. They're bringing a fleet to force us to comply with rules we never agreed to follow. She gestured to the tactical displays surrounding them. The time for diplomacy ended when they decided to treat us as subjects rather than equals. Now they get to learn what happens when you corner a species that builds warships the way we build cars. The meeting continued for another hour, finalizing preparations for the Council fleet's arrival. Every detail had been planned and rehearsed. The revelation would be swift, overwhelming, and impossible to ignore. As the others left, Chen remained in the briefing room, staring at the display showing Earth. Her homeworld looked peaceful, but she knew that appearance was deceptive. Hidden throughout the system were defensive installations that could stop any invasion, shipyards that could replace losses faster than enemies could inflict them, and a population that had unified behind the decision to stand independent. The Council was about to learn that quiet humans weren't weak humans. They were dangerous humans who had been planning while everyone else was talking. In 48 hours, the age of human submission to galactic authority would end forever. Admiral Korath stood on the bridge of the Stellar Dominance, watching the Sol system grow larger on his displays. Behind his massive dreadnought, 199 other ships maintained perfect formation. The largest compliance fleet in galactic history had arrived to remind humanity of their place in the cosmic order. Admiral, reported his sensor officer, we have successfully dropped out of hyperspace at the system's edge. All ships report ready status. Korath nodded with satisfaction. The fleet represented 15 different species, unified in their commitment to maintaining galactic law. The Zenthari dreadnought served as flagship, but Vorthak battlecruisers, Altarian destroyers, and Zephyrian carriers all added their strength to the formation. Open a channel on all frequencies, Korath commanded. It's time to address the humans. The communication system activated, broadcasting his words across the entire solar system. This is Admiral Korath of the Galactic Council Compliance Fleet. By authority of the High Chancellor and the assembled Council, I demand the immediate surrender of Earth's governing authority and compliance with galactic law." He paused, letting his words echo through space. "You have withdrawn from your obligations to galactic civilization. You have ignored legitimate Council authority. You have developed military technology without proper oversight. These actions constitute rebellion against the established order." The fleet waited in perfect silence. Every ship had its weapons powered but not targeted. This was meant to be a show of overwhelming force, not an actual battle. The humans would see the futility of resistance and submit to Council authority. "Humans of Earth," Korath continued, "you have 1 standard hour to respond with unconditional surrender. Failure to comply will result in enforcement action and occupation of your system." Minutes passed. Korath expected immediate surrender. The human ships he had seen during the Krellin conflicts were small and fast, but they couldn't possibly match the firepower of 200 Council vessels. "Admiral," called out his tactical officer, "I'm detecting some strange readings throughout the system." "What kind of readings?" "Unknown energy signatures. They appear to be everywhere." Before Korath could respond, space around the Council fleet began to shimmer. What had appeared to be empty vacuum suddenly filled with ships. Hundreds of them appearing as if materializing from nothing. "Stealth fields," shouted the sensor officer. "They were hiding in plain sight." Korath stared in disbelief at his tactical display. Human warships surrounded his fleet completely. They had been there all along, invisible to Council sensors, waiting for the perfect moment to reveal themselves. But these weren't the small, primitive vessels he expected. The human ships were sleek and angular, with smooth hulls that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. Each one was larger than he had anticipated, and their energy signatures indicated power systems beyond anything in the galactic databases. "How many?" Korath asked quietly. "Counting now, Admiral." 500, 700. Still counting. The numbers kept climbing as more human vessels decloaked throughout the system. Near Earth, massive orbital platforms became visible, bristling with weapon arrays. Around Mars, construction facilities that dwarfed the largest galactic shipyards revealed themselves. In the asteroid belt, mining operations on a scale that shouldn't be possible appeared on sensors. "Final count, Admiral," the sensor officer reported, his voice barely a whisper. 1,047 combat vessels. Unknown number of support ships and defensive installations. Korath felt his confidence drain away. The humans hadn't just been hiding. They had been building. The small fleet that had impressed everyone during the Krellin conflicts had been nothing compared to this. "Sir," the communication officer announced, "incoming transmission from the human fleet." On screen, a human woman appeared on the main display. She wore a military uniform that Korath didn't recognize, with insignia that suggested high rank. Behind her, the bridge of her ship showed technology that looked decades ahead of current galactic standards. "I am Admiral Sarah Chen, Commander of the Solar Defense Force," she said calmly. "You wanted our attention, Admiral Korath." "You have it." Korath struggled to maintain his composure. "Admiral Chen, you are in violation of galactic law. These ships represent illegal military buildup. The Council demands immediate compliance and inspection of your facilities." Chen's expression didn't change. "Admiral, let me clarify something for you. Earth withdrew from the Galactic Council 2 years ago. We are no longer subject to Council authority, Council law, or Council demands. That withdrawal was never officially recognized. We didn't ask for recognition. We declared independence and defended it." Chen gestured, and the tactical display showed the positioning of human ships around the Council fleet. "As you can see, we have the capability to enforce our independence." Korath looked at his own tactical display. The human ships had positioned themselves with military precision. His fleet was completely surrounded, outgunned, and at a severe technological disadvantage. "These vessels," Chen continued, "represent 2 years of uninterrupted development while you ignored our communications. Every time you dismissed our warnings about galactic problems, we spent that time solving our own problems. Every time you refused to listen to our suggestions, we used that time to build better solutions. The Council will not accept this rebellion. The Council will accept what we choose to give them." Chen's voice hardened. "For decades, we tried to work within your system. We followed your rules, respected your authority, and contributed to your civilization. In return, we were treated as junior partners who should be grateful for any scraps of respect you threw our way." She paused, and Korath could see the conviction in her eyes. That relationship is over, Admiral, permanently. You cannot stand against the entire galaxy. We're not standing against the galaxy, Chen replied. We're standing independent from a council that has forgotten how to lead. Look around you, Admiral. Look at what humanity built while you were debating and politicking. Korath did look. The human fleet moved with coordination that spoke of advanced artificial intelligence. Their ships showed energy signatures that his scientists couldn't explain. Most disturbing of all, they had achieved this level of technology in just 2 years. What do you want? He asked finally. Nothing from you, Chen answered. We want you to leave our system and never return. We want the Council to understand that Sol belongs to humanity, and we have the strength to defend it. We want to be left alone to build our own future. And if we refuse? Chen smiled, but there was no warmth in it. Admiral, you brought 200 ships to intimidate us. We have over 1,000 ships surrounding you right now. Your weapons are powerful, but ours are more advanced. Your shields are strong, but our understanding of energy dynamics is superior. She leaned forward slightly. You have exactly 17 minutes to withdraw from our system. After that, we will consider your presence an act of war against a sovereign human nation. Korath looked at his tactical display again. The human ships hadn't targeted his fleet yet, but their positioning made it clear they could destroy the Council force if they chose to. Every strategic advantage belonged to the humans. This isn't over, he said finally. Yes, it is, Chen replied. The age of Council authority over humanity ended the moment we stopped asking for your permission to defend ourselves. The transmission cut off, leaving Korath staring at a blank screen. Around him, his bridge crew waited for orders. The human fleet maintained their positions, patient but ready for action. For the first time in his long military career, Admiral Korath faced an enemy that was clearly superior in every way that mattered. The humans had outbuilt, outgunned, and outmaneuvered the combined Council fleet without firing a shot. Signal the fleet, he said quietly. Prepare for hyperspace jump. We're withdrawing. As the Council ships activated their hyperspace drives and fled the Sol system, Admiral Chen watched from her command chair. The first phase of humanity's independence had been achieved. Now came the harder task of making the galaxy accept their new reality. But watching the Council fleet retreat, she felt confident that humanity had made its point. The quiet species from the third planet would never be dismissed again. 6 months after the Great Standoff, Ambassador Kethavar stood outside the human embassy on Zenthari Prime. The building had been empty for over 2 years, but now activity buzzed around it as human diplomats prepared for their first official meeting with galactic representatives since their declaration of independence. The galaxy had changed dramatically since Admiral Korath's fleet had returned with news of humanity's technological revolution. Some species had called for immediate war against the rebellious humans. Others had argued for diplomatic solutions. Most had simply tried to understand how a supposedly primitive species had built the most advanced fleet in known space. Kethavar adjusted his formal robes and approached the embassy entrance. The human guards wore uniforms he didn't recognize, made from materials that seemed to shift color in different light. Their weapons were compact but radiated an energy signature that made his security sensors nervous. Ambassador Kethavar of the Zenthari Coalition, he announced to the guards. I have an appointment with Admiral Chen. One of the guards spoke into a small device, then nodded. The Admiral will see you now, sir. Please follow me. Inside, the embassy had been completely renovated. Where once there had been simple furniture and basic technology, now everything spoke of advanced engineering. Holographic displays showed real-time information from across human space. Communication systems that could reach Earth instantaneously hummed quietly in the background. Admiral Chen waited for him in what had once been the ambassador's office. She still wore her military uniform, but now it carried new insignia that Kethavar didn't recognize. Behind her, a large window showed the Zenthari capital city stretching to the horizon. Admiral Chen, Kethavar said formally, thank you for agreeing to this meeting. Ambassador, she replied, gesturing for him to sit. I understand the Galactic Council has some concerns they'd like to discuss. Kethavar took his seat carefully. The furniture was human-made now, and it adjusted automatically to accommodate his physiology. Even their chairs were more advanced than most galactic technology. Admiral, the Council is facing several crises that require immediate attention. The Krellin Empire has resumed raiding Outer Rim colonies. The Void Seekers have been detected in 3 different sectors. Most concerning, our long-range sensors have identified what appears to be an invasion fleet from beyond the galactic edge. Chen nodded. We're aware of these threats. Our sensor networks have been tracking them for months. Your sensor networks? Admiral, did you think we limited our technological advancement to weapons and ships? Chen activated a holographic display that showed the galaxy from an impossible perspective. We've deployed quantum communication relays throughout known space. Our early warning systems can detect threats long before they reach inhabited systems. Kethavar stared at the display in amazement. The human network covered more territory than the Council's official sensor grid. They had built an intelligence system that surpassed anything the established galactic powers possessed. How is this possible? He asked. 2 years of focused development without political interference, Chen replied. While your council debated the proper protocols for expanding sensor coverage, we simply built what was needed. The council needs access to this information. These threats endanger all galactic civilization. Chen leaned back in her chair. Ambassador, let me remind you of recent history. When we warned the council about growing Krellin aggression, we were told to follow proper diplomatic channels. When we suggested improved coordination between defense forces, we were informed that established procedures were sufficient. When we offered to share our tactical innovations, we were dismissed as too primitive to contribute meaningfully. Kethavar felt uncomfortable. Everything she said was true, but the current situation demanded cooperation. Admiral, I understand your frustration with past treatment, but these new threats require unified response. The invasion fleet alone numbers in the thousands of ships. We know, Chen said calmly. Our deep space monitoring stations have been tracking them for 3 months. We estimate they'll reach the Outer Rim territories in approximately 6 weeks. Then you understand why we need human cooperation. Chen stood and walked to the window looking out at the Zenthari city. Ambassador, let me explain humanity's position. We tried cooperation with the Council for decades. We followed your rules, respected your authority, and contributed to galactic security. In return, we were treated as junior partners who should be grateful for any acknowledgement. She turned back to face him. That relationship is over permanently. But these threats endanger everyone, including Earth. True, which is why we've already begun responding to them. Chen activated another display showing human fleet movements. Our ships are currently engaging Krellin raiders in 7 different systems. We've established patrol routes to intercept Void Seeker incursions, and we're preparing defensive positions to meet the invasion fleet. Kethavar studied the tactical information with growing amazement. Human forces were already fighting threats that the Council was still debating how to address. You're doing this without Council authorization? We don't need Council authorization to defend galactic civilization. We just do what needs to be done. Chen returned to her seat. The difference is that now we're doing it on our terms, not yours. What are your terms? Chen smiled. Simple. Humanity claims complete sovereignty over the Sol system, and any territory we choose to defend. We will cooperate with other species on a case-by-case basis, but we will not submit to Council authority. We will share information and coordinate military actions when it serves our interest, but we will not ask permission to act. The Council will never accept those terms. The Council will accept whatever terms we choose to offer, Chen replied firmly. Ambassador, let me show you something. She activated the main display showing real-time footage from the Krellin border. Human ships, sleek and deadly, engaged pirate vessels with devastating efficiency. The raiders that had plagued galactic shipping for months were being systematically destroyed. This footage is from yesterday, Chen explained. Human forces eliminated the largest Krellin raiding fleet in galactic history. We did it without asking permission, without filing impact studies, and without waiting for committee approval. More footage appeared, showing human ships rescuing civilian transports from Void Seeker attacks. The mysterious alien threats that had terrorized Outer Rim systems for years were being driven back by human forces. The Council spent 2 years debating how to respond to these threats. Chen continued. We spent 2 years building the capability to eliminate them. Kethavar watched the displays with a mixture of awe and concern. The humans weren't just technologically superior now. They were actively reshaping galactic security through direct action. What do you want from the Council? He asked finally. Nothing, Chen answered. We want to be left alone to handle galactic security in our own way. If other species want to cooperate with our efforts, we're open to discussion. If they want to continue following council procedures, that's their choice. And the invasion fleet? Chen's expression hardened. We'll handle it. With or without council assistance. The meeting continued for another hour, but Kethavar already understood the new reality. Humanity had not just withdrawn from galactic politics. They had replaced galactic politics with direct action and superior capability. As he prepared to leave, Chen handed him a small device. This contains our current tactical analysis of all major threats to galactic civilization. Share it with whoever you think can use it effectively. What about the Council's authority? What about it? Chen smiled. Ambassador, authority comes from the ability to act effectively. The Council has spent decades proving they can't do that. Humanity has spent 2 years proving we can. Walking back through the Zenthari capital, Kethavar reflected on what he had learned. The humans hadn't just achieved technological superiority. They had created a new model for galactic civilization based on capability rather than politics. The age of council dominance was ending. The age of human leadership had begun, and unlike the council's bureaucratic approach, human leadership was measured by results rather than procedures. 3 weeks later, when the invasion fleet reached galactic space, they encountered a defensive line of human ships that had been waiting for them. The battle lasted 6 hours. The invaders never reached a single inhabited world. The galaxy's new protectors didn't ask for permission to save everyone. They simply did it because they could and because it needed to be done. The quiet species from the third planet had found their voice. And when humanity spoke, the galaxy listened.